Okay, so the universe is just vast, right?
Yeah.
And when we think about astrobiology, searching for life out there, we usually picture, carbon-based stuff on planets kind of like ours.
The familiar picture.
Exactly. But what if that's like looking under the wrong lamppost? I mean, ordinary matter, the stuff we're made of, that's only about 15% of everything.
A tiny fraction, really.
So what if life isn't just carbon and water? What if it exists in totally different forms, maybe even right here, close by?
Well, that's the core idea we're exploring today.
Yeah, we're doing a deep dive into this really fascinating paper. It throws a wrench into our usual assumptions, proposing something called plasma biospheres.
It's pretty radical.
Our mission today is basically to unpack the biggest ideas from this paper, exploring this, well, frankly, astonishing possibility of life beyond carbon.
And it's bold,
Yeah.
The paper really pushes us to cast that Darwinian net way wider. Not just other galaxies, but maybe Earth's own plasma environments. Even hypothetical dark matter biospheres.
Dark matter biospheres. Okay, now we're really going deep.
We are. We're talking plasma life forms made of ordinary matter, yes, but also potentially exotic dark matter particles. It's
Yeah.
like a whole new branch, plasma and dark astrobiology.
Wow.
And what's really intriguing is this concept they call dark Earths. These are theorized dark plasmaspheres, possibly co-rotating with our Earth and Moon.
Co-rotating, like right alongside us.
Potentially, yeah. And they could harbor complex dark plasma life. So forget just SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. This paper suggests maybe we should be thinking about SETI.
SETI.
Search for interterrestrial intelligence. The idea being the aliens, so to speak, might be hitting co-inhabitants right here in the Earth-Moon system, maybe even linked somehow to the dark matter experiments we're running.
Okay, this sounds like pure science fiction. I mean, plasma life.
It does sound like it, but, the idea that plasma itself has sort of lifelike qualities, it actually has roots going back quite a way in physics.
Really? Like how?
Well, take David Bohm, a brilliant theoretical physicist, worked with Einstein. He was observing electrons in plasma, and he noticed they weren't just acting like individuals. They were behaving like this larger interconnected whole, really organized.
Organized how?
So much so that he apparently felt the electron sea was alive. He noted plasma could, regenerate itself, enclose impurities, almost like an amoeba building a cyst around something.
Wow. He actually said alive.
He did. And even the name plasma has a sort of biological echo. Irving Langmuir, Nobel Prize winner, coined it back in 1927
Why plasma?
because it reminded him of blood plasma, the way it carried different particles.
That's fascinating. So the connection isn't entirely new?
Not at all. It shows plasma physics isn't just astrophysics. It could be really relevant to biology. Other scientists, Mitsuo Uehara, Nobel laureate Hannes Alfvén, they also saw these striking similarities between plasma structures and biological cells.
Similarities like what?
Specifically, something called the double layer, or plasma sheath. You can think of it acting, very much like a cell membrane in biology.
Protecting it, defining it.
Exactly. Protecting the plasma structure from its surroundings, marking its boundary, just like a cell wall does. These plasma forms can even show cellular shapes, and the sheaths have channels for particles and energy to flow through.
Like ion channels in our cells.
Very similar idea, yeah.
Okay.
And here's another really interesting parallel. Hysteresis.
Hysteresis, what's that?
It means they can hold a memory of past states, like a magnet remembers its polarization, or how a hard drive stores data. Both plasma bodies and biochemical cells show this property. It allows for information storage.
Okay, so if this is a totally new kind of life, what's it actually made of? And you mentioned water earlier. Does it need water?
Right, good questions.
Yeah.
The paper talks about complex non-thermal plasma, sometimes called dusty cold plasma. Now remember, over 99% of the ordinary matter in the universe is plasma, and dust is everywhere in it.
Okay.
So when you get chemically active gases forming tiny dust particles within that plasma, you get complex plasma. And what's cool is how electrons stick to these dust particles, charging them up. Sunlight can knock more electrons off them too.
And that leads to?
It leads to really intricate structures, things like vortexes, filaments, and those double layers we just mentioned. But here's a key property. Complex plasma has liquid crystal properties.
Liquid crystal, like in LCD screens.
Sort of, yeah. It's a state between solid and liquid, and this is vital because the liquid crystal properties of liquid water are considered absolutely essential for the carbon-based life we know.
Ah, okay. I see the connection.
But this also challenges that water-centric view. Researchers like Chris McKay at NASA, Dirk Schultz-McCouch, they're asking, is water truly unique or just super abundant here on Earth?
Could other liquids work?
They propose maybe things like, say, sulfuric acid, methanol, ammonia, hydrogen fluoride could play similar roles elsewhere.
Yeah.
But for these theoretical plasma life forms, water isn't even on the table.
So what do they use instead?
They'd likely use magnetic fields for structure and electrical circuits or fields for transport. And that liquid crystal property of the complex plasma, it allows particles to move freely but stay oriented under voltage. That gives you a way to control things using electromagnetic instructions.
Ah.
You could argue it might even be better than water for supporting certain kinds of life processes.
Better than water. That's a bold claim. But you said this isn't just theory, right? People have actually made these things in labs.
That's right, yeah. Back in 2003, there were these experiments by Laznenu and Sandulevicu in Romania. They applied high voltage to argon gas, created an arc. And the gas just spontaneously organized itself into these glowing, self-contained spherical things they call plasma cells.
Spontaneously?
Yeah, these spheres had double layers like the membranes we talked about. They varied in size, micrometers up to like 3 centimeters. They could detach, float around.
Okay, that's weird.
And here's where it gets really wild. They replicated. They split in two, just like biological cells do in mitosis.
They replicated how?
By splitting.
Yeah.
And they seem to sort of breathe, too, by taking in neutral argon atoms to maintain their boundaries, like a basic metabolic process.
Breathing and replicating.
And wait, there's more. They could apparently communicate.
Communicate? How?
By emitting and absorbing electromagnetic energy.
Yeah.
They could make other spheres nearby vibrate. The researchers kind of joked it was like telepathy if you didn't know about the EM waves involved.
That's incredible. So they're replicating, breathing, communicating. It's like watching primitive life emerge in a petri dish, but with plasma.
Pretty much, yeah. And the researchers involved, they actually suggested these plasma spheres could be the origin of biochemical cells.
Yeah.
Maybe formed way back in Earth's early electrical storms, like primitive microbes.
Wow. But surely there's skepticism.
Oh, absolutely. People like Gregoire Nicolas, a physical chemist, pointed out, could complex molecules like DNA really form at those high plasma temperatures? It's a fair question.
Right.
But the paper kind of flips it and asks, well, why do genomic structures have to be biochemical? Why DNA or RNA as we know it?
So an alternative.
Exactly. Which brings us to plasma DNA,
Yeah.
another mind bender. In 2007, an international team, Sutovich, Gregor Morfill, they used computer models.
Simulations.
Yeah, simulations, showing that inorganic dust particles, just dust, in plasma could actually self-organize into helical structures, like spirals.
Like DNA's double helix.
Resembling it, yeah. And in these simulations, these structures were autonomous, they reproduced, they even evolved. They showed bifurcations, like little memory marks they could divide into copies, influence their neighbors, basically showing signs of natural selection.
In a computer model.
In a model, yes. And we need context here. Helical structures, they're actually pretty common in plasma physics. You see them in the sun's corona, giant ones in places like the Orion Nebula.
Okay.
And Sutovich's simulations didn't include gravity, though ionization and magnetic fields were key. Plus, again, simulations aren't real-world experiments.
Right. Important caveats.
Definitely. And the paper itself suggests genetic info in plasma life might not even need helices. Given how they use electromagnetic fields, maybe information is stored more like computer hard drives or in bioelectric fields, transmitted by EM waves.
So not necessarily a direct DNA analog?
Maybe not. But still, you could imagine these simulated structures maybe acting as precursors or templates for early RNA back when Earth was much hotter. It's a possibility.
A template for life as we know it. Okay, so if these are like cells, are they single-celled things? Or can they group together, become multicellular? What's their life like?
Well, the theory suggests they'd mostly be macro-unicellular life forms. Think protozoans like an amoeba or a paramecium. They have these structures that are surprisingly similar to our eukaryotic cells, the double layer, a nucleus-like core, filaments.
But not evolving into complex things like us.
Probably not in the same way. But that doesn't mean they're primitive thinkers. I mean, look at amoebas, slime molds, no brains, but they show amazing intelligence, problem solving. Single-celled life is incredibly successful on Earth, been around forever.
Okay. And how would they sense the world?
Likely very differently. Probably decentralized, distributed, sensing stimuli anywhere on their body from all directions, like how we feel pressure or temperature on our skin, but maybe much more complex. They might even have senses totally alien to us, perceive space and time differently.
Perceive time differently. Yeah. Wow. And eating. Metabolism.
They'd absorb energy directly from the environment.
Yeah.
Energetic particles, electromagnetic radiation, a bit like plants using sunlight, capturing radiation, storing it as energy.
And reproduction.
Oh,
Evolution.
they'd likely replicate like other single-celled organisms, fission, maybe budding, potentially achieving a kind of biological immortality through symmetrical splitting, where the parent just becomes two daughters,
Immortality.
in a sense. And they could form symbiotic relationships, like our own cells did, incorporating other things, maybe even temporarily clump together, form superorganisms that look multicellular but aren't permanently fused.
Okay, so we've got the theory, we've got some lab results. It sounds plausible in a way, but then the big question, if it's plausible, why haven't we found this stuff everywhere in our normal, ordinary matter universe?
Right. That's the crux of the problem for ordinary matter plasma life. They need those Goldilocks conditions. The right temperature, enough particle density, but critically, stability.
Stability.
And that's the killer in our part of the universe. The electric charge, it's just unbelievably strong compared to gravity. Remember that 10 to the 39 times stronger figure?
Yeah, that's immense.
It leads to countless plasma instabilities.
Yeah.
And why is instability bad for life?
It disrupts things, prevents complexity.
Evolution needs stability. Constant chaos just disrupts adaptation. It drains energy, prevents homeostasis, that internal balance. And plasmas out there in space, they are notoriously unstable, chaotic.
Like what?
Well, stars. Our sun generally way too violent with fusion and explosions, even calmer-looking dust clouds. They suffer from things like Rayleigh-Taylor instability, acoustic waves, filamentation, stuff that basically rips them apart. The controlled lab experiments are neat, but they're a far cry from cosmic reality.
Okay, so instability is a major hurdle. Anything else?
Yeah, another big one is charge separation. For complex plasma life, you need to keep positive and negative charges separated for longer periods. But ordinary plasma, where charged particles hugely outnumber neutral ones like 14 to 1, naturally fights against this separation.
Unlike biological life.
Right, we use neutral atoms cleverly to separate charges inside cells. So this makes complex plasma life probably pretty rare in our ordinary matter sector, likely stuck in proto or primitive forms. The paper even hints ordinary plasma life might have just been templates for early carbon-based life here.
Templates. So where specifically in our neighborhood are these problems most obvious? Where would we not expect to find complex plasma life?
Okay, let's tick them off. The universe overall. Sure, 99% plasma, but huge regions lack the stability or density. Our solar system, full of dusty plasma comets, planetary magnetospheres, interstellar clouds, but again, mostly unstable. Sun and stars, generally hostile.
What about closer to home? Between Earth and Moon?
Ah, the Kordylewski clouds. These plasma dust clouds at the Lagrange points L4 and L5. They exist, they're vast, but incredibly faint, diffuse, and temporary. They get battered by solar wind, the sun's gravity, very unstable. Maybe simple protoforms could exist there, but nothing complex.
And Earth's atmosphere, near space?
We have complex non-thermal plasma. They're the plasmasphere, ionosphere, magnetosphere, those beautiful noctilucent clouds. But our magnetosphere is dynamic. Buffeted by solar wind, the poles flip, noctilucent clouds. They appear and vanish in hours. Very challenging for complex life to get a foothold.
Down on the ground, Earth's crust.
Extremely hostile for plasma life. It's weakly ionized, it's cold, it's dense. Plasma just dissipates almost instantly down here. Our magnetic and electric fields are too weak. Perfect for us carbon life, terrible for plasma life. Maybe primitive forms existed when Earth was molten, but they'd be long gone from the cooled surface.
What about deep inside? Mantle and core?
Temperature goes up, sure, more ionization, but the pressure is immense. That pressure would crush and suppress plasma body formation. Not a good habitat either.
Okay, so it really sounds like the deck is stacked against complex plasma life in the ordinary matter universe we know. But then the paper takes this huge leap into dark matter.
Exactly. This is where it gets really speculative, but also maybe points to where the real potential lies. And look, the idea of dark matter life isn't totally fringe anymore. Top physicists, Lisa Randall at Harvard, Sean Carroll at Caltech, they're predicting it.
Seriously, mainstream physicists.
Yep. Randall talks about dark stars, dark planets, even dark life. Carroll envisions dark atoms, dark chemistry, dark biology. So when this paper talks about dark plasma, it means plasma made of dark matter particles, not just our stuff hiding in the dark.
Okay, but dark matter barely interacts with anything, right? How could it form life?
Well, the crucial ingredient is that dark matter might self-interact weakly, and it might have a tiny electric charge. Carroll proposed things like dark photons, a new dark force similar to electromagnetism, just much weaker. And some studies, like by Munoz and Loeb at Harvard Smithsonian, found that dark matter having a minuscule charge like a millionth of an electron's charge actually fits with our observations.
A tiny charge. Why is that important?
Because that's the game changer. This much weaker electric charge, maybe 100 to a million times weaker than ours, it fundamentally suppresses all those plasma instabilities we just talked about.
Ah, so it solves the stability problem.
Potentially, yes. Dark plasmas would behave more linearly, less chaotically. And the structures, the life forms, the biospheres, they could be enormous, organizing over vast, diffuse, but incredibly stable regions.
Wow.
Fusion reactions would likely be suppressed too, meaning you get these vast regions of ionized gas that aren't violently turbulent. Forget solar flares. Imagine huge, stable, maybe crystalline grids, concentric shells, gentle spirals, shimmering star-like objects, all stable.
So these dark Earths would be stable havens.
That's the theory. Ideal habitats, offering the stability complex plasma life needs to actually evolve, thanks to that weak charge, plus maybe more neutral particles around, potentially higher temperatures in the dark sector, slower particle movement,
Yeah.
all conducive to complexity.
And you said these dark Earths are connected to our Earth. How does that work? And how big are we talking compared to, our biosphere?
Right? The theory is they interpenetrate, coincide with our ordinary Earth. Our planet might even provide extra stability for them, unlike random plasma clouds in space. Now, scale. Think about our biospheres, just a thin skin, maybe 20 kilometers thick. We humans occupy what, less than 0.03% of Earth's volume?
Tiny.
Tiny. Now, the smallest predicted dark Earth. It's comparable to Jupiter's gas envelope, radius around 71,000 kilometers. Jupiter's core is about Earth-sized.
So you could fit.
You could fit over 1,000 visible Earths inside one of these dark Earths.
Right.
Our entire human biosphere would be like 0.0003% of its volume. Utterly minuscule.
That's hard to comprehend.
It is. And the paper suggests dark plasma life might have had a head start here, not needing to wait for Earth to cool. They might outnumber all carbon-based life by many thousand-fold.
Thousands to one. Where would they be?
The highest concentration is guessed to be in a region about 100 kilometers thick, maybe 50 kilometers above and 50 kilometers below Earth's crust. So overlapping our troposphere and stratosphere, basically all around us.
And how would they live? Move.
Well, no hard surface radar. They'd float, move through this huge plasma ocean. Probably in diffuse light, no walking or running. They'd fly and swim, sometimes maybe zipping around at incredible speeds, occasionally stop by those electrical fences, the double layers, if their energy gets too low.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive has completely flipped my perspective. We're not just looking for little green men on Mars anymore. We're talking about potentially radically different life forms right here, coexisting with us, unseen.
It really forces a rethink, doesn't it? This theoretical framework just blows the doors off astrobiology as we usually conceive it. It suggests, yeah, ordinary plasma life faces huge hurdles in our messy universe. But these vast, stable, dark plasmaspheres, these dark Earths, they could be teeming with complex life.
Life that could vastly outnumber us.
Potentially, yeah, by orders of magnitude. It really suggests whole new places to look for life, not just outwards, but maybe inwards, within our planet's own hidden dimensions.
It's a truly profound thought, and it makes you wonder, doesn't it? If these incredibly complex dark plasma life forms are potentially all around us, interacting in ways we can't even detect, what other huge assumptions are we making? About life, about the universe, about our own place in it all. Definitely something to chew on until our next deep dive.